We build an 8-team parlay with every NFL division winner and tell you how you can take home $1,000 in just 10 minutes this NFL season. And it all starts right now. What's going on, everyone? It's Matt from Grandstand Bettors, and this is part 2 of our 8-part series where we build a parlay with every NFL division winner in the 2022-23 season. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video because we're going to tell you how you could win $1,000 absolutely free this NFL season. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos and smash that like button because it is time to talk about the AFC North division. And in last place in the AFC North, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was a very close one, though, as the Steelers have one of the best defenses in the league, and they had the most sacks last year out of any other team thanks to TJ Watt and their secondary, which only gave up 215 yards passing per game. Now, with some very talented players on offense like running back Najee Harris and wide receiver Deontay Johnson, the Steelers should be able to give any team a run for their money this season. Now, the two issues, though, that might hold them back still are their offensive line and their quarterback. Despite having a great running back, they ranked 29th in the NFL in rushing yards per game last season, and the reason for that was their offensive line, which they have struggled to rebuild since 2019. That line also let Big Ben get sacked 38 times last season, which was the most in his career since 2013. Now, speaking of Big Ben, obviously without him at quarterback right now, they have a huge hole to fill, and they have two solid options right at the moment. Mitch Trubisky and rookie Kenny Pickett are battling for the starting position this season, but both these guys have their strengths, but they also have their weaknesses, which makes us a little less confident in this team when compared to the other offenses in the AFC North. If they go with Pickett, they are going to have to deal with his lack of experience in the NFL and his ability to protect the ball, as he had 38 fumbles over his college career. But if they go with Trubisky, who has an edge on Pickett with experience, he has not had the best stats in the NFL, and his deep ball accuracy is awful. Now, this would be a big setback, especially with the weapons they have at wide receiver. So with the second hardest schedule out of the teams of the AFC North this season, we have them coming in last, but it is going to be close. Because in third place, we have, in the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns. And with the news that Watson is going to be suspended for 11 games, it's just hard justifying them staying ahead of the Bengals or the Ravens in this division. At best, this team will be playing for a wild card spot. And when we say wild card spot, we literally mean maybe the 7th seed. Like the Steelers, though, the Browns have a very good defense as well, which ranked 5th in pass defense, 12th in run defense, and 13th in points given up per game last season. If guys like Denzel Ward, JOK, and several other defensive backs stay healthy the whole season, who knows what would have happened last year. With a fully, though, healthy unit anticipated for this season and behind their star edge rusher Myles Garrett, this defense will be one of the reasons they might still be in the hunt come December. Now, another big factor will certainly be their run game. They have an absolute workhorse with Nick Chubb, who is extremely hard to tackle in the open field. His average yards per carry and yards after contact have been at the top of the league the past few seasons, and a reason for that is the offensive line. Bill Callahan has built a very good line over the past couple seasons, and it is clearly translated into a major improvement for the rushing attack. With other playmakers like Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and David Njoku, this offense should be able to generate enough points in the first half of the season, even with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Now, they do have a much easier schedule in the first half of the season, but without Watson at the helm for the majority of the season, we just can't see them getting any higher than third place. because the runner-up in the AFC North is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Browns can't compete with the Bengals. Yes, we will probably get a lot of heat for this one in the comments, but they have the third hardest schedule the Bengals do in the NFL this season. Their offense is going to have to carry them again through the season with guys like Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, and several other good wide receivers, T. Higgins, etc. They have no problem putting up points on the board again this year like they did last year. But the one issue for them, though, is their offensive line. Burrow was sacked 51 times last season and 19 times in the postseason. That's not good, especially after he had an ACL injury the year before. Now, they did bring in a few guys in free agency and use the draft to pick a lineman up, but every team and coach was most likely watching that Super Bowl performance and saw that even wide open Jamar Chase down the field couldn't get the ball because Burrow did not have time to get him the ball because Aaron Donald was in the backfield for most of the game. Now, they also did make some major improvements to their secondary in the offseason or the draft as well, which was a big area of concern for them last year. They were 7th worst in the NFL in pass defense, giving up 248 passing yards per game. They also gave up the 3rd most completions out of any team with 24.6 per game. Now, the Bengals still have a very talented team. We're not knocking their team at all, especially with Burrow at quarterback, but we are looking at here what they have to do to win the AFC North. And with the way their schedule is, we think it's going to be very hard for them to do that. So, yes, come at us in the comments about this team. But why don't we wait just till the end of the season to see what really happens? Because we don't think they're going to win the AFC North. That does leave us, though, with the winners, and that is going to be the Baltimore Ravens, the winners of the AFC North this year. They've won the division 4 times in the last 11 years, which is tied for the Steelers for the most over that time period. They had a disappointing season last year, we know, though, only winning 11 games in 2020 as well, and 14 in 2019. They might be ready to bounce back after a disappointing season last year. The reason, though, for last year, injuries. Before the season even started, they lost 2 of their running backs, safety Marcus Peters, and during the season, they lost their other safety, Marlon Humphrey, Lamar Jackson for a couple of games, and a few other starters. Injuries really killed them last year, and we should just look at last season as a one-off. With all these guys back, we are going to have them here in a bounce-back spot, and their defense should have no problem returning to what they were in 2020, only giving up 18.9 points per game, which was 2nd best in the league, while only giving up 329 per game at the same time. Offensively, with Lamar healthy and some dangerous backs coming back from injury, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, their triple threat rushing attack is going to be back in full form here. Wide receiver Rashard Bateman also looked good last season, paired well with Mark Andrews at tight end. And this offense is going to be hard to stop, just like they were the previous seasons in 19 and 20, when they put up 33.2 and 29.6 points per game. They have a much easier schedule than the Bengals as well. They have the 10th easiest schedule in the NFL, and they have that perfect bye week in week number 10. So, the second leg of our 8-team parlay is going to be the Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC North, and that you can get that at plus 145. And that takes our parlay right now to the Bills and the Ravens, 2-team parlay so far, 2 of the 8 done. And if you actually just bet those 2, you would get it at plus 251. Now, Part 3, it is going to come up here in just a couple days. Make sure, again, you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our massive 8-team parlay, which ends up being over 250 to 1 odds. Before we sign off, though, we promised you how you could take home $1,000 in just 10 minutes, and the answer is easy. Go to grandstandbettors.com, sign up for our free NFL betting contest. Take 30 seconds each week. You pick 5 games against the spread, and if you're on top of the leaderboard after Week 18, then you will be taking home $1,000 of cold, hard cash. It's as simple as that, everyone. The link's in the description. Go do that right now because all registrations do close at 1 p.m. on September 11th. As always, though, sit back, relax, enjoy some preseason football because we are only 23 days away from the start of the NFL season.